Greg Matthews,
How's it going, buddy? Cheers.
the man, the myth, the legend.
This is it.
You know, I've been telling people, a lot of people write books about themselves,
Right.
and oftentimes the content sucks.
Yeah.
I met you, and when you told me your life story, I was like, damn, dude, this guy's got to have a book.
One day.
I was amazed you don't have one now.
I need a little more experience, I feel like.
Yeah?
Although I'm 45, right, I feel like a little bit more. Because if you write it about yourself, you want it to be interesting. Right? Because,
Yeah. Hey, just lean in or either pull that towards you a little bit.
Yeah. There we go.
Messing up my audio, dog.
All right.
So, and I truly do mean that. You're one of the most interesting people that I've met. And I've been to countless countries, 9 years in the military,
Yeah.
10 years in law enforcement total. And, in that time, I've met some amazing people. And like, dude, I swear to God, you're like top 3.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, bro. Yeah.
So I'll give you a quick introduction. We'll rewind the clock all the way back. Cowboy, blacksmith, musician,
Right. Yeah.
to social work, now into therapy.
Right. Yeah.
And avid mountain climber.
Yeah, I like to get outdoors as much as I can. Hiking, being outdoors. My dad passed away a number of years ago of cancer, so he always taught me to be outdoors. Like I feel closer to him when I'm out there, so that's where I kind of find my peace, is being outdoors as much as possible. So if I can do it, that's my self-care all day long. So yeah, try and hike all the 14ers. I'm not there yet, but I think I got 13 under my belt right now. So
13 individual peaks.
Yeah. So I finished those. Now I'm just like, there's 58, right? So
Yeah.
that means I have another, what is that? Another 45? No, 13. Yeah. Another 45 peaks because there's 58.
Yeah.
No, 40 peaks. Isn't that right?
There's, here, hold on. I'll just look it up.
No, I know there's 58 peaks, but I've only done 13 of the 58.
Are you sure there's
100% of 14ers, right? And I know in Colorado there's over 600 13ers, right? So there's plenty to do.
How many did you say there was?
There's 58.
There is 58.
Yeah, there's 58. Yeah.
Right on, dude.
I got the post. I got the poster at the house, the ones I've done and stuff like that. So yeah,
it's legit, dude.
Yeah, no, it's something to do, right? So now I'm like, now what? Now that I've accomplished all these other things that I've done in my life, I'm like, where can I go from here? I get bored. I got to stay constant all the time. You're the same way.
I'm the same way.
Right. So I always have to be doing something, always got to do the next thing, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this, on the mountaintop theme here.
Right.
You hit one mountaintop and you're like, all right, conquered this one. What's the next?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And, and I think it's great for personal growth. I think it's great for, in doing that, I think you inspire a lot of people around you. In meeting people, there aren't many people, I don't want to say this in a negative way, but there are not a lot of times I feel inspired.
Right.
And when I meet an individual that I'm like, regardless of what they do, like
right.
Sean Meadows, hopefully is on this podcast at some point. He's really big into blacksmithing and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not huge into blacksmithing, but his passion and his artwork and his drive that he has inspires me.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think it's just important to stay constant because we don't know what tomorrow brings. Nothing is promised, right? So I think it's just trying to stay focused on the things that make you happy, the people that you love.
Yeah.
Get all that you can every day because we don't know what tomorrow brings. It could be done just like that, right? So, and is it scary? No, I'm not scared of dying. I'm scared of not living enough even now, right? So it's just living as much as I possibly can all the time and reflect what I'm doing on others, being positive, being happy-go-lucky, whatever I got to do to make a good day. I can act like a complete idiot to benefit someone else, to make them smile. I'll do that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay looking like an idiot if someone could smile and have a good day because they came across me. I think that's an important goal every day. And being grateful, like saying your gratefuls in the mornings, saying your prayers, whatever you do, saying your daily mantras. I do that every day. looking at the mountains, driving down to work, you know.
We live in such a beautiful state, man, and I feel like a lot of people take that for granted. And
Yeah.
you know, you drive, and whatever you have going on in your life, you look to the west. We're on the eastern slope, right? We look to the west, and you see how massive this mountain range is, and how itty bitty small you are.
Tiny.
Yeah. Tiny. And you're like, God, dude, magnify it. It's almost like I'm sure if you could see the constellations the way they used to be without light pollution, it'd be a very similar feeling.
If you're camping out there in the backcountry, you see all of that.
Yeah.
You see things up there you didn't think you'd see. It's beautiful out there, and you find your place in the Milky Way. You kind of know where you are when you're out there in the backcountry camping and doing all that. But it's also nice driving every morning and looking at the peaks that I've done. That feels good too.
I know you got the little peak finder thing where you're sitting there with your.
No, I love it.
Hey, we ever find out where Devil's Head is?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Did you find it?
Yeah, it's west.
Well, no shit. I want to actually, because I still can't find it. Every time I'm looking at the range.
I'm telling you, when I'm looking at the range, I swear I can see the
tiny little house.
Tiny little house.
Or the Overwatch or whatever.
The lookout.
Yeah. Well, cool. Good introduction. I do want to rewind to you grew up in Texas.
I did, through and through.
So I
was born in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
But I grew up, I also had the best of both worlds. My grandmother had a house in Angleton, basically a mansion in Angleton. Yeah. But she also had the ranch house in Lufkin, Texas. And that's been in her family.
Where's Lufkin?
Lufkin. It's 45 minutes from the Louisiana border. Yeah, it's East Texas.
Is it swampy down there?
No, but you go further east. Yeah, you know. Okay. So it's Louisiana.
Never been in that part of Texas.
It's before. Deep woods, big thicket, pine, 100-foot pine trees everywhere.
Oh, it's probably like North Carolina.
Well, from Texas all the way to Florida, it looks the same going straight all the way to I-10.
Okay.
So there's that, but that's where I grew up with my work. Learned how to do my work ethic, right? Like my grandmother was there; she paid me $2 an hour to go do whatever, rake leaves and stuff like that as a kid. Yeah. And then as I got older, I'd fix fence and help my uncle vaccinate, some longhorns because we raised longhorns out there and stuff like that. But and it was great, So I'd be in Houston during the week because both my parents, graduates of UT. And they both had professional jobs in downtown. Mom was a nurse. Dad was an IT guy earlier on, and then on the weekends we'd go there, or every other weekend we'd go there and just kind of.
So you're a cowboy on the weekend.
Relax. I had the best of both worlds. I'm well-rounded in that sense. But what got me most, all my siblings are in the city. They're in Houston. They love it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be near it. I haven't been back in Houston over 20 years, So actually living there.
How'd that feel? Like you were going to school? Were you just counting down the hours until you were able to get back out to the country?
I went to school out that way. Actually, I didn't go to school in Houston. I went to high school, right? But all my colleges.
Yeah, no, I'm talking high school because that's
I went to Clear Lake High School. I grew up not too far from Space Center.
Okay.
Space Center of Houston, NASA.
Yeah.
So I grew up over there. It's where all the baseball players and a lot of people would live.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you wanted to get out of the city so much, sometimes that angst. I mean, I think we both feel it even when we're at work sometimes.
Yeah, I
want to
go play, dude.
I know.
I want to get lost up there.
Remember we went hiking?
Yeah.
Dude, that was a trip, man.
It was a good day.
That was one of the best days.
It was a good day, and that was a small little hike because we were running down.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to do.
But what I'm saying is sometimes I know when I'm at work and I look at the mountains, or I know I'm going up to Breckenridge this weekend.
Right.
It's I find myself checking my watch. I'm like, all right, 5 more hours.
No, yeah, I'm there too.
3 more hours.
It's always nice to have something to look forward to, so I always have to have those plans, make those goals, whatever I got to do to get there. Mm-hmm. I went snowboarding in Keystone last Tuesday. That was great. All day long. I was sore.
I was about to say, did you break yourself again?
Hey, where are my pads? I took your advice.
Little ass pads.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah, I caught on fairly quickly. So yeah,
right on, dude.
Yeah, it worked out. But yeah, it's rolling around the snow, even when you bust your ass, and you slide 20 feet on your face, it still feels great because you're in the snow and you're in the mountains.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
start looking around, you're like, God, dude,
Yeah.
I'm so fortunate to be here.
I feel blessed.
Yeah.
Like everything I'm doing in my life right now is because I set that intention. I set that goal. I did those vision boards on top of my fridge.
Did you
Looked
read
at
The
every.
Secret?
I've watched The Secret.
Okay.
I never read The Secret, but it's just one of those things. I've always kind of been that way, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I'm like so different from my whole family. They are not like me at all. I'm like the milkman's baby. I'm like, where the hell did I come from? You know what I'm saying? That's a real thing, So it's just like
Personality wise.
everything. I love my family. I
Yeah.
come from a big family.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love them dearly. I talk to my family every day. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
But I'm nothing like any of them. I'm complete, so different from all of them.
Yeah.
So,
So weekends you were a cowboy, and then you
yeah.
graduate high school.
Well, in high school, I was in a National Youth Rodeo Association riding bulls,
Oh.
and I did that in high school. And then when I got into
Walk around.
college,
Hello, ladies.
I thought I was 10-foot tall and bulletproof in high school. I was a cocky son of a gun, man. I was so cocky. Anyways,
I thought bulls were supposed to humble you.
I mean, yeah. I mean, 8 seconds seems a hell of a lot longer than what it seems like when you're on it. Because usually when you're on and you're riding and you're in the shoe gate and you ride for 8 seconds, it's almost like a slow motion,
Okay.
really. And that's how you kind of know it. And having the bull like beneath your feet, and this is on any wild animal that you ride, because I rode bucking horses too. I'm not saying I ride bears, but right? No, but like when I was riding bulls, like you can kind of feel them move underneath you, and you know when they're going to turn left or turn right.
Okay.
But you also study it. You have to study it. And you have to be in shape. But it was a great experience. I travel on the weekends in high school. My dad would write letters. When my parents got divorced, my dad would write letters for me to get out early so I can go to all the rodeos I needed to go to. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to make it on a Friday night because sometimes I'd have like a Friday.
While you were
Saturday.
in high school,
yeah. My mom had no clue, right? But it was great because I was, he was so cool about it. He was like, "Don't tell your mom, just be safe, And I'd have like a cooler with beanie weenies and water and cokes, and have my Copenhagen and Levi Garrett, and then I'd have my cigarettes just to stay away. I'd do them all at once. I'd have Levi Garrett on one side, Copenhagen. I'd be smoking a cigarette. I was just like
18 years old, 17, 18 years old.
So cocky. Yeah, I was an idiot. Yeah, but it was, but you live and learn, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I got into college, I did the Cowboy Professional Rodeo Association, did that, and switched from bulls to broncs because I about got killed by a bull in a field store in Waller, Texas. Yeah, and I went to I went to rodeo school.
What was that like?
What?
Almost getting killed by a bull. How'd it happen?
Oh, I've got my head stepped on 3 times, and broken 27 bones in my body. So
during that incident?
No, not in that incident. Just in that incident. Oh gosh, he was a number. He was a PBR bull. They put him off. I think they just retired him at that time. It was a big old Brammer bull, and what happened was I got on him, and it was the first time I wore a helmet. Someone put a helmet on. Mind you, this is like 96, right? This is before helmets were even a thing. And they just started putting helmets on, and you get a lot of shit from people and your other cowboy friends. Oh, you're wearing a helmet, you're a wuss. That sort of thing. I got on him, and I rode him for about 6 seconds, and I got hung up on him. And
what do you mean by hung up?
I couldn't get off. Like my hand was caught, it wouldn't come loose, right? Oh. And so I can remember my feet. My feet never touched the ground. I was probably hung up for about 3 to 5 minutes. It was like the longest 3 to 5 minutes of my life because I ended up getting caught in front of him as well, and he had his horns, right? And they were dubbed off at the end. But he ripped off my vest, my shirt
with his horns.
And he trampled me a number of times. I got caught underneath him towards the end, so he tore my pants off me. My underwear was off.
Oh man!
This left wrist was shattered, so I got screws in this left wrist.
Because it was strapped in.
Right. It was just shattered, and he tore everything off me. And I remember when I had the helmet on, I couldn't move. My body was numb.
Yeah.
There's the clowns that were running around, get up, and I could see him coming at the end of the arena, and I was numb. I was hung up for so long I couldn't move. He picked me up and tossed me 20 feet, and I hit I landed on the other side of the chute gates and hit a pole and fell and knocked me out. I woke up in the ambulance, because all my skin was ripped out of my hand as well. And I was just numb. They're like, "You're going to the hospital." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm not going to no damn
How old
hospital."
are you at this point?
I think I was 96, so I was 18. I was 18.
You dumb.
Yeah, but I did that a lot. I mean, I think it was this left wrist that he broke, and I broke all my metacarpals in my left foot, right? And I was like, I went home and at that time I had an old 1978 Ranger blue Dodge, no, a Ranger Ford truck, old metal hunk of metal, right? And I had to shift, and it was really painful, trying to shift the whole way home. I was like 4 hours from home at that time, and yeah,
Cell phones aren't a thing.
yeah, no, they were a thing, but they were this little small little.
96?
Yeah, they had cell phones in '96.
No.
Yeah,
I know they had them.
they were
but
they were
I don't-
like cheap little phones, that, like the
Yeah.
burner phones you have now. That's what
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was then, right? Those were like the awesome
Yeah.
phones back then, right?
Yeah.
This is when it first started. So
It's a little Nokia.
yeah, I had a Nokia actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was so cool. I'm like, I got a cell phone.
Doop.
Awesome. My big ass blue beater Ranger truck.
What do you
Yeah.
got? You better talk quick because I'm paying by the minute.
No, right?
It's 10
seriously.
cents a minute. You better talk quick.
It was bad. It was bad then.
Yeah.
Roaming was awful. They took advantage of you back in the. How's my bill $200?
Well, we got you on roaming.
Right.
Thank God.
No, but yeah, and then from that, I took a break from rodeo for a solid year because I was so beat up.
Recovering and stuff.
Yeah.
A year is a fast time to recover, dude.
Yeah. I got better shit, then I decided to go to rodeo school, Lyle Sankey Rodeo School in New Caney, Texas.
So this is after high school.
Yeah.
So after high school, instead of going to college, you're like, I'm going to be a cowboy.
No, I went to college too. I wanted to do it all.
What did you go to college for initially?
I started out with mental health. Even
Really?
then, yeah. I got my associates in sociology. No,
Okay.
I got my associates in social work.
Yeah.
That's what I did, and then from there I took a break, and experienced life some more. Went back and got my bachelor's in sociology, minor in psychology, and then right before COVID, I went back again to get my master's in education and counseling and development and marriage and family counseling.
Right on, dude.
Right. So there was a 10-year gap there between my master's and my bachelor's, and then another 10-year gap between my associates and my bachelor's. So
Yeah.
I got
But
it
tons of experience between that.
I
It's
lived.
not like
I
you're just
lived.
chilling.
I lived. But what intrigued me about mental health was that I was always wondering why people did what they did, whatever it was. I was
Yeah.
always kind of a curious kid, and even as a young adult, I was still kind of curious. But I need to go. I'm great with people. I was like, what do I want to do? I couldn't wrap my head around. Like, what? I think I'm going for mental health, social work, and stuff like that. And it worked out because also like mental health runs in my family,
Yeah.
so it also made sense with that. And all the life experiences that I had even before then, I've had a lot of death in my life.
Yeah.
A lot of death at a very young age. Gun violence.
Yeah.
Just horrific accidents, and it just made sense to me. And it kind of stuck throughout my life, So, yeah.
When was you said gun violence?
Mhm.
You willing to talk about it?
Yeah, it's fine. No, I'm over it. I mean, like you learn to live with. Like when you lose so many people, like you learn to live with it.
Yeah.
You never really get over it,
Mhm.
but you just learn to live with it. It's just kind of a part of life. And as you get older,
Yeah.
you're like, that sucked.
Yeah.
What was I doing? I was pretty crazy. I was a crazy kid. I took a lot of risks. But yeah,
If you're willing to share, I mean, we're always.
Yeah, right.
I'm always very careful about prying too much.
Oh yeah, I think if you're old enough, you get old enough. I think everybody has a little bit of trauma somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, I think sharing the trauma, sharing the experience that caused the trauma is insightful because a lot of people walk around like everything's fine.
Right. Yeah.
And in our experience,
yeah.
I think we can both agree that most people are not fine.
Right. And every time I hear I'm fine, it means not fine. That's what fine means. Oh, I'm fine. No, that means not
Doesn't
fine.
fine stand for something?
Yeah, it means not fine.
Yeah, but somebody like defined it like I'm drawing a blank on it. I'll find it later.
I don't know. I mean, always when people say I'm fine, it means not fine, obviously, every time. So
Yeah.
I even catch myself saying it, right? I'm like, I'm fine. Like,
Yeah. So what happened with
well,
was it gang related? Was
no,
it
it was actually gun violence. I actually one was I guess you could say was guns were involved. I don't know if gun violence because it was an accident. The first one I was 13 years old. My best friend growing up. I was 13 at the time. My brother was 14, and they were playing with a gun. It was
okay.
25 automatic. Um, a buddy of mine took the clip out. His mom kept the gun underneath the driver's side. Mind you, this is Houston, right?
Right.
So, and he pulled the clip out, not knowing there's one in the chamber. And my brother and two of my other friends were all supposed to go together, but I didn't make it that night. Something came up,
What was
and
the plan for that night? Just all hanging out?
yeah, all hanging out.
Yeah.
And the individual who had the gun pointed at my brother. My brother's like, "Get that crap away from me! What are you doing?" And then my other friend, who's now dead, he was 14 at the time. He's like, "Go ahead, pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. I don't care." You know, lodged. I drew one in the chamber, right? So it lodged in his brain. It happened around December. I think it was December 7th to December 14th. He died 6 to 7 days later. But yeah, and
Oh my god.
and that's when my brother he went through a lot because the trauma from that kind of triggered everything for him. And then from them he had a hard time. But like I said, mental health that triggered his mental health challenges in his life, and now he's awesome. He's been in remission for 25 years. He goes there. He does everything he's supposed to do. He goes to therapy. He takes his meds, like brushing his teeth, as you should.
Yep.
If you have any sort of mental health challenges, not everybody's, all about psychotropics, but I think if it's severe enough, it's needed.
You're talking like
medication.
SSRIs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so if I believe that if it's acute enough, if it's mild, I think there's things that you can do that you don't need meds. Now there's to a point where it can be severe enough where I feel like you do need them.
You need intervention.
And that's just my opinion, right? But I think going all the things I've been through and seeing my family go through stuff and the trauma like my brother did, I mean, I'm glad it was available for him. And I'm glad it's available now because he'd be a different person.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But,
it's not good, but it's good that
right. And
he's getting the help and everything.
Right. No, he's fine. Like I said, he's been in remission since he was 20 years old, so, but yeah. And that was the first one. And there's numerous ones after that,
With guns?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Was it violence related or just accidents?
Well, it was, yes and no.
Just being dumb? Yeah,
being adolescents experimenting with drugs, right? Hallucinogenics and bad things happening, right? So, yeah, but that's kind of how my adolescence started, really. It was this horrific, it was just more than one. It was kind of ridiculous. And as I got older, even more people, like, wow, all my friends I used to hang out with, there's a group of us, they're all gone now. I'm the only one left. So, and that happened at a very young age. All my best friends, I call them the 3 T's. I'm not going to name their names, but, we were always together, doing stuff, having fun, and they're all gone now. And I'm 45, so there's that, but what death teaches me, it teaches me how to live, right? I could live for them too. I might do something that they may do that I would never do.
So do you think that's what made you do so many thrill-seeking, dangerous things when you were a teenager?
I think so. I wanted to,
live it up.
I wanted to live it up. I take risks, and I still take risks.
Oh, I know you do.
Even now, I'm curious. Even now, as an adult, I'm still this curious. There's this curious little kid inside me, Curious George, right? That monkey, right? But, I just more mindful about it now. I'm like, this is not, I think it through, right? Before I do something not completely stupid.
Chances of survivability, 80%.
Right.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that.
Right. But you can walk outside and get hit by a bus. I mean,
yeah. I mean, anything's possible. You could get smacked by an asteroid.
Yeah, we could die tomorrow. Government can tell us anything. We'd have an asteroid headed our direction.
No, I'm talking like, could you imagine you walk outside and the size of an asteroid, the size of this cup,
Oh, you'd be dead. You'd be gone.
just smacks right through you?
Tear your body in half.
Yeah. That'd be crazy, dude. That or the size of like one of these little stones, just like, and you just drop.
Anything is a possibility.
Yeah, I know.
At any given moment. You can't wait anything out ever, right? So
I was just curious to see if you either at that time recognize that or now recognize that as an adult as possibly an influence to you doing. In my opinion, when you do things that are that thrill seeking, it's when you feel the most alive.
100%. Yeah.
So I didn't know if now looking back on it, you feel as though.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense now looking at it. It's just something that you're really not in control, but you kind of are.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? That sort of thing.
It's like the cusp.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I'm on the cusp of something.
Yeah.
But I'm still in control. It's like, did you ever surf? Or anything like that?
I've tried it a couple of times.
Snowboard, and it's like you feel when you have the flow, and you're like.
Well, I skateboarded for a decade as well as a kid, and I got really good at it. I could still ollie and do flips and like kick flips.
Are we talking like? Are we talking the original kickflip?
The original kickflip.
Yeah.
All of it. I did it all. I was doing like 360 flips, 540 flips as a kid. I was really good at it.
I feel like the original kickflip is easier than the ollie kickflip. The ollie kickflip's hard.
I don't know. It's when you just ollie and then there's like a pause.
Yeah, but you gotta flick it.
Yeah.
Whereas the original kickflip, you just push, foot goes off, kick the board, and then land on it.
Once I quit once I quit skateboarding, it was when a goofy footage started, like a switch dance started coming around.
Oh yeah.
So switch dance started coming around right when I was done.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm done. But what's crazy is I jumped from skateboarding to bull riding. Imagine that jump. That's an ADHD jump, right? I mean,
hyper focus.
Yeah, because I was doing handrails and jumping over fire hydrants.
Were you blacksmithing at this time too?
No, this was later.
Okay, so let's go back to broken body, driving home.
Okay.
In your stick shift, you get home to mom or dad?
My mom rebought the land my family owned 100 years prior.
Okay.
Right. And
so you go back to mom though.
Yeah, I go back
and
to
she
mom.
Doesn't know you've been jacked up.
No, but they always had a hard time me doing it because she always kind of bribed me like, I'll do this and this for you if you quit this.
Oh, okay.
She was that. If you quit that, I'll do this for you. Oh, whatever you want, just don't do that. Right. So,
yeah.
But my mom was a nurse.
Okay.
35 years, ICU. Worked at all the hospitals, and not all the hospitals in Houston, but she worked at a lot of hospitals in Houston. Yeah. A lot of the main ones. But yeah, I got.
So you get back home, you get out of the car, you're casted up.
No, I'm not casted up because my foot's still broke. I walk in. Yeah, I didn't go to the hospital. I left. I drove home with that broke metal carpals and my left wrist jacked up.
They just bandaged you up.
No,
for like the skin.
Yeah. It bandaged my hands up. Yeah, and then my left foot was all. It was done.
Okay, so you get out of the car and you're like,
I'm limping. Yeah. I can't walk hardly at all, and it's late. And I'm like, hey mom, do you think my left foot's broke?
Being a nurse.
Yeah, and it was purple and blue. It was 7 times the size of it was huge. Clearly it was broken. Yeah. And she's like, well, I guess we're going to the ER. I'm like, no, I can wait until morning. And I know we're going to the ER, so yeah, number of surgeries, so.
And then so you went from Bulls to
Bronx.
The Bronx.
Yeah. And I did that for a while. Then I almost got killed by a bronc. I got my foot hung up in the stirrup in Corsicana, Texas, in CPR.
Were you wearing a helmet?
No, you don't wear a helmet for broncs. No, I was only for bulls. You're a wuss if you wear it for broncs, right? At least then, right? Anyways, yeah,
I'm sure.
I had a rodeo partner at the time. He was running a ranch and really good dude. He was a really good bronc rider. He was teaching me the ropes and like kind of took me under his wing. He was also a pickup man, for the other bronc riders at times as well. Really good dude. Anyways, he had a Dodge with a living quarters and a shower. It was all, we'd watch our videos after we got done to see where we messed up. to study it, right? That's what you do to get better, right?
It's
But
what
yeah,
Prince did. Did you hear that? Prince?
Prince.
Yeah, the singer.
No,
You don't know who Prince is?
I know who Prince is. I just
Oh yeah.
I know who
Oh
Prince
yeah,
is.
he was neurotic about it. It's like well documented. He would like watch his performance
I didn't
afterwards
realize that.
and pause it and be like, could have done this better. And he like writes down
He was a
notes.
perfectionist for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I've heard he was phenomenal. Never saw him in person, obviously, but
Right. I didn't either, but as a kid, he was always that person.
yeah,
You saw the big albums.
yeah,
Like when Purple Rain came out in the
Oh,
80s.
yep.
I remember wearing the swatch as a kid with the bleach blonde hair and the neon clothes, walking in the Galleria, seeing Prince,
your
all
boombox.
big. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So your what's this? Your foot got caught up. Did you lose consciousness
Oh,
there
no.
too? Or
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
when did you wake
I
up?
was knocked out in the ambulance again. Right. That's what you do. But I think after that, I really made me kind of, I'm like, because there's a point where like, is it worth it?
Yeah,
Because you still got to question yourself. Is it still worth it? Because I lost a number of friends rodeoing too,
yeah.
or acquaintances I used to ride with that passed away doing it, and I think at that point I was just like, I guess I'm done. But mind you, I was still working on the farm and I was shoeing horses.
So you were blacksmithing at this time.
Oh, I was doing it. Yeah, I was blacksmithing when I was riding broncs. I was blacksmithing. I can remember blacksmithing with a moon boot on and I still had to work, so I was hurt, but I was still shoeing horses at the same time.
Sweating your off.
I had the horse nails in my mouth, the hammer, the nippers. I used to do hot shoeing as well, so I'd had a forge in my truck, and I had my 100-pound anvil I'd drop and have all my tools.
What's hot shoeing?
Hot shoeing, it's when you like put a hot shoe on a horse's foot.
Like what's the benefit of that?
The benefit of that is it's just a tighter fit.
Okay.
It kind of molds the foot, like the hoof.
Let me ask you this, because I've grown up around horses. I've been horseback riding and all this other stuff. I've never cared for a horse though.
Right.
I've seen videos of like them filing and everything else like that, and the giant clippers that they get out for their hooves and all this other stuff. Right.
That's the nippers. Right.
But what is the benefit of a horseshoe anyway?
Well, I mean, it depends
for the horse, and
all depends on what kind of horse and what kind of horse you have, what kind of breed you have, and what you're doing with the horse.
Okay.
So for example, if you have a rodeo horse and you're a roper, and you have a quarter horse, and as you know, if you've watched rodeo and people rope horses, and they're going to that calf, on the back end, like you see them sliding.
Yep.
Well, there's some shoes that you can make handmade that are called sliders. And you kick out the edge of the horseshoe, so it helps it slide better. Right?
And the horse likes that?
Well,
or does it just look better?
No, it doesn't look better. It helps the horse
maneuver.
Yeah, maneuver, right? Basically, so when they're sliding on their back end, those sliders help them slide just a little bit more.
Okay.
Right. So it's almost like correct. It's like it's not corrective shoeing, but it's just shoeing for the type of horse that you have. And here's another example, like for Tennessee walking horses like Morgans, for example.
Okay.
When the horses are gaited, when I say walking horses, they walk really fast, almost like they're running, but they're walking. They're gaited.
Like a trot.
Right. And so with them, for example, especially on concrete, and you would do a shoe, and then you would put flux and borium, and you would weld that together, and it's almost like cleats on the shoe.
Okay, so there's no sliding.
There's no sliding. It grips, right? And so a lot of people who, for example, would have like mules and they wanted to go up in the high country.
Yeah.
I'd put those on there as well because it helps them grip. It'd be the same thing for walking horses. It's basically actually putting a heel on a heel and a toe, extra toe grip on the shoe itself.
So I mean, the animal doesn't care.
No,
it doesn't bother them at all.
Right now, if you have here's an example. If you have a pasture horse, I call them pasture ornaments because that's when people were like have horses just to talk about them.
Oh, I know some people like that.
Yeah, pasture ornaments. Oh yeah, I got a horse. I got one over there. So on. Right. You don't really shoe those. You don't shoe those horses because they're out in the pasture. You just trim their feet.
Okay.
Right. So there's that. So there's an art to it. Did I miss it? Yeah, I really enjoyed it. That was my first.
Really?
That was my first career.
You started a whole company and everything?
Yeah, Greg's Horseshoeing. It was awesome. I loved it. And then I got another horseshoer who was very well established in the area in East Texas. Took me under his wing, and I learned more from him. But it was, yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I miss being under a horse, and there's something about this.
Smelling that hay
Yeah,
dung.
everything. It's the hay, it's the horse, it's the smell of the horse, the sweat. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all that mixed in together.
And
And
a horse
this,
is a beautiful animal,
yeah,
dude.
they're
It's
big, beautiful
so,
animals. They are.
and they're so gentle,
They
especially when you
are
know them.
right. Yeah.
Or you know how to, the blind zones. You stay out of the blind
Right.
zones.
Right. Well, when you're going around a horse, you always want to touch them. To
You know
make
what
sure you're
cracks me
there
up is
as
people
well.
go
Right.
to horses thinking like, oh, that calms them down. I'm like, no, that doesn't calm them down.
No.
Gets them
Mm,
going.
right.
Like you gotta talk softly.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
hey,
and they
how
sense
are
you a mile away.
Oh yeah.
If you're scared of them, they'll know. If you don't know how to ride, they'll know.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're big, beautiful animals.
Yeah.
But I do miss shoeing horses. I do miss
Why
being a
don't you
fair.
pick it up out here, dude? There's plenty of horses around.
I got a bad back. Good.
Can't do it anymore.
I
Can't lift
can't.
their legs up.
No, I could. No,
Whack away.
well, you just put it between your legs, and you have your horseshoeing chaps on
Yeah.
with your horseshoeing knife that you're trimming the foot.
So it's
with.
the hammering that you can't do anymore?
No, it's just my back. I'm 6'2".
Yeah.
A lot of horseshoers, 5'4", 5'6".
Short.
They're not real tall. And even the guy I was under, who I apprenticed under for a while in East Texas, he was like, Greg, you'll be lucky if you last in this career 10 years. And I almost did it 10. I think it was a total of 9. But it was my first career. I loved it.
You're going to college at the same time.
Going to college.
When did you pick up music? Playing guitar and stuff?
Both my parents were in church choir.
Can I just say this? The day that we sat in that coffee shop in Parker and we were just jamming out on the guitar, like, it's like a core memory now. It's like it pops in my head every now and then.
Right.
There are the 2 beaten up guitars in the corner, and I picked up one. I'm like, hey, here you go. Here's the other. And we're just sitting there jamming
That was
together.
fun. That was a good morning. Yeah.
It was a good way to start work.
Yeah, it was a good day.
But,
but I picked
so
up
church choir and everything else like
Yeah,
that?
my parents,
Okay.
were in church choir, so I always kind of had a voice. I was singing in church. I grew up Episcopalian, and I also grew up Southern Baptist. My dad was Southern Baptist, my mom Episcopalian. So when they got divorced, I did both churches. My dad's weekend to be Southern Baptist. My mom's weekend to be Episcopalian.
Yeah.
Even to this day, you're Episcopalian.
Really?
To this day. So I grew up with the
That's
hymnals
funny,
and all that, and I always had a voice. But I just I don't know. I knew I could sing, and my cousin loved to death. He's playing now. He plays in New Braunfels, San Marcos, Austin area, stuff like that. That's where I was playing before with my old bands.
Yeah.
I just kind of, he's like, Greg, you have a good voice, bro. He's like, you should pick up an instrument. So my first
How old are you at this point?
Oh, I was older.
Older, really?
Older. I was like 27 was when I started, actually. I was a late bloomer for that, right?
No way, dude. You're good.
28. I was 28. I was 28 when I started. And I sucked, right? I knew I could.
Everyone's.
I sang. I could sing. I've always had a voice. But I didn't really know how to play an instrument. And that took some time. And it took years for the instrument. And now I'm okay now. I wouldn't say I'm good because I'm not practicing it anymore. I have all my instruments downstairs in my basement, here. But I miss the camaraderie of playing gigs and playing out and packing a house of like 300 people and people just eyeballing you and
throwing you tips, buying you drinks.
Yeah, have shots at your floor. Have shots down there and drinks. I wouldn't have to buy a drink all night. It was awesome, But I like the gigging out was a lot of fun and the experiences that I have.
And you were primarily playing in Houston?
No. I lived in San Marcos, Austin area.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah. So I'd be playing around there in New Braunfels, San Marcos. Not so much New Braunfels, more like San Marcos, Austin. Okay. Maybe played a couple gigs in Houston, but it was I did it for a good while, and I got sick, and that's what kind of stopped it because I was a lead singer with my band. And
was this the desert trip?
Yeah.
We'll jump into that next.
Yeah. So, but I had to quit because I lost my voice. I was so backed up.
Oh man.
So I just it kind of petered out, but I was also, my band at the time they just wanted to hang around and smoke and drink beer and play music and jam in the house
Yeah.
without playing all the gig. I wanted to gig out a bunch.
Yeah. That's how you get money. That's how you
Right.
get. That's how you get known.
And they were just like, no, let's just practice. Let's just practice. I'm like, we know
Yeah.
these songs. Why we keep on practicing?
There's so I do want to give a shout out to Blue River Grass, I think is what it's called. Blue. They every time I go up to Breckenridge, dude, they are maybe.
I love like the Appalachia kind of bluegrassy.
They're kind of like almost like a Mumford and Sons, man.
Yeah.
But they've got the violin in there.
I love the fiddle.
Actually, you know what?
I love the fiddle. That's a beautiful instrument.
I follow them on Spotify.
But yeah, I listen to, what am I listening to right now? I'm listening to Nickel Creek right now. You know Nickel Creek?
Yeah. I got it right. It's Blue River Grass.
Okay.
So for all of my listeners, the whole whopping probably 10 of y'all, check out Blue River Grass.
There's more than that.
Yeah, there are. Based on YouTube's algorithm, there's a decent amount.
That's great, dude. Yeah. But yeah, I look
Just click that subscribe button because it helps me out.
Right. Do it, everybody. Come on.
Do it.
But yeah, I think lately I've been on Nickel Creek.
Yeah. So you were jamming, and then that kind of sucks, man, because it's you think about the what ifs in life, and it's like, man, if y'all would have just gotten your stuff together.
Well, that's a lot of bands.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know.
I have come across so many amazing bands that are out there that no one knows about because life happened in between. Whether it's addiction, whether it's having a child, whether it's getting married, life happens, and sometimes life is so busy for everyone that it goes away, and that's kind of what happened with ours. Like life happened to me really hard at that time because of the health thing.
So at the same time that you're playing in this band, what are you doing? Because we jumped from 18, 19 years old,
right,
to 27, 28.
Well, I was married once at one time.
In between there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you finished up college, working the shoe horse and business.
Right. Yeah. And I got married and got divorced pretty young. Right. I got married at 22, divorced at 26.
So 4 years.
Actually, it was almost 5. So maybe it was 22 to 27.
Okay.
But yeah. And then that was a part of my life. I was just like, okay, that happened. Now what?
Did it feel like a blip?
Yeah. That was a blip for sure.
Feel like you didn't live a lot of experience in that time?
I feel like I didn't live my 20s because I was although it was mutual that we got divorced, it took me 2 years to get over it. Like I loved her. It was my first love as an adult, right? So it really hit me hard. And as you know, in some relationships, things happen sometimes, And so from there, I was like, all my 20s were gone. What just happened? I'm like,
I gotta join a band.
Pretty much. I'm like, what do I want to do? And that's what I did. I picked up my life. And at the time, don't get me wrong, I was doing real estate appraisals, and I was a realtor.
Okay. It's like, let me get my ADHD compass out today, flick it real quick. Where does it land?
Pretty much, yeah. So when I was married, I was a real estate appraiser, and I was and a realtor.
So is that like refinancing and stuff like that? You would go out to the house and
I would go appraise the home to see what the value was. Right?
Sounds kind of boring.
Well, it was okay. It was a job, and I was in my early 20s with an associate's degree at that time, right? So it paid the bills. Paid the bills. I got to travel, draw a house.
I only say that based on what you do now and the amount of like good you're giving out into this.
Yeah.
And I know we're straying away from like talking exactly about what you do, but in all honesty, there are very few jobs that contribute so much to society than the position that you are in.
Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it.
Yeah.
Even the job I'm doing now definitely doesn't feel like work. I love it so much.
I know.
So there's that.
Yeah.
So
doing real estate stuff.
Yeah, real estate stuff and appraisals. And before that, right when I moved from East Texas to Houston when I was married, I got a job at Baker Oil Tools as a roughneck building oil tools.
What is that? Like old tools, like
oil.
Tools.
That's my Texas coming out.
Oil.
Yeah, oil.
I'm
tools.
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, oil tools. I would build those when I was. I did that for about a year and a half before I got fired. It's the first job I ever got fired from.
You were building tools?
Yeah, I was building tools by hand. Because the machines, like you'd have machinery, like the
But
machine
oil
guys.
rigs.
Yeah, like for the oil rigs, right?
Yeah.
The
Okay.
tools that they drop down in there, those are what I'd build,
Okay.
right? But
And you got fired?
yeah, I had a temper.
The hell, man. Oh.
Yeah,
Mismanagement or poor management.
poor. Yeah,
People don't quit their jobs; they quit their managers.
I had a temper. I was, like I said, I was pretty, cocky. I was kind of angry.
How old were you at this time?
This time I was 20, 22,
Okay.
23, and I was working, trying to figure out my life because my brain wasn't even fully developed. Our brains weren't fully developed till we're 25. So
I thought it was 30 something.
No, it's 25. So I was -3, right, at that time.
Well, good, I can keep drinking.
You're right, cognitively, right. So you're just 5 cognitively right now, right? Anyways,
yeah, I just turned 30 last week.
I know. So you're 5.
Yeah, I'm 5 years old.
No,
Sometimes I feel that way.
This is kind of how I look at shit sometimes. But
Yeah.
anyways, worst job. I'd go home covered in black oil every day. I was covered, and it was rough. But I'm glad I didn't do that anymore. That motivated me. I'm like, I got to go back to school. I got to do something.
I can't do this for the rest of my life.
I got to go. Working with being a roughneck and getting into it with the guys there. Especially me having a temper. I have a pretty good temper, which I've gotten a hold of as I've gotten. I still have it. It still comes out sometimes, but as I've gotten older, I've learned to maintain it, and that's why the gym helps. Going to the gym, have my
doing your Manitou incline, dude, every Monday.
Every Monday,
religiously.
Right.
That's another thing I want to get into, but we'll. So fast forward a little bit. You're in the band. Band gets dissolved. When was this trip? So let's give as much detail. We'll start like. Well, I'll give some background. You went to the Mojave.
Yeah, Mojave Desert. Joshua Tree, California.
Right.
Joshua Tree, yeah.
And what year was this?
2015.
Okay, so 2015.
Yeah.
You're in a band. You're living your best life.
Yeah.
You're going to college.
No, not that.
You've already graduated with a bachelor's.
I've already graduated with a bachelor's, right?
In social work.
A sociology minor in psychology.
Okay.
Right.
So you're in between that time and your master's degree.
Right. Right. I had a fiance at that time.
You had a fiance? Okay.
Yeah, I had a fiance.
Where were you working? What were you doing?
At that time, I was working as a case manager.
Okay.
But no, with her, no, I was actually working for FEMA at that time.
Okay. For emergency relief and stuff?
It was called the Crisis Counseling Program, CCP. I was working for FEMA at that time, and that job led me into all the mental health stuff I'm doing today, all these years later.
Okay.
Right. But at that time, that's what I was doing. And then I ended up having an incident at work at that time where I wasn't really happy how the upper management was handling it. So I quit. Put my 2 weeks in. I'm like, this is not worth my safety. You're not handling it properly. And I ended up leaving.
Okay.
I wasn't happy how they handled it. So I was like, they don't pay me enough to stay here for the safety issues. So I ended up doing that and started working as a barista, doing real estate again, and being a pedicabber in downtown Austin.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So a pedicabber?
Yeah. The guy who's pedaling down the road with like 3 people or 4 people.
A cycle cab.
Yeah.
I call them cycle cabs.
The pedicabbers is what they're called.
Oh, really?
That's the term for it.
No.
Did that.
Learned a new term.
I do the South by Southwest.
Dude, I bet your calves were like freaking shredded.
I was shredded, but I was thin. I was thinner than I am now. Like, I'm fit now. I feel great. I don't think we're ever really happy with our bodies. I know I'm not.
No, there's always a slight level of body dysmorphia.
Right, 100%. And that's
you
how
look
I feel.
in the mirror and you're like
what? Huh?
Goodness, am I chunky today or am I thin?
Right. If you eat too much, you have to unbutton the belt. Right.
Yeah.
Anyways, but actually at that time I was cycling so much at that time. And this is, mind you, at this time I didn't know I was sick as well.
You were sick.
This is right after all this stuff was going on to my body. I didn't know before we left. I felt like something was going on with my body at the time.
Before you went to the desert.
Before I went I felt something else was going on, but I didn't know what.
Okay.
But it's weird. It came to a head in Joshua Tree, California.
So it wasn't the dust from the desert. And I know we're kind of we're beating around it.
We are.
We'll go straight into it. You take this vacation
Right.
to Joshua Tree.
Right.
With who?
My fiance.
Okay.
My ex-fiance. Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and yeah, so
we'll just start at and then we'll kind of backtrack.
Actually, her dad was an amazing man. He actually let us borrow his Westphalia Volkswagen van.
Okay.
So
right
we
on.
built up. He built it out. Thing looks pristine.
Did it have a surfboard on there for just looks?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it was everything functioned. Right. It was beautiful. He redid the whole thing, and above it, when you do the roll top camper, it was he put a queen size bed up there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we did that. So we'd have the queen size bed up top. It was great. And so we would jump from national park to national park until we got to California, Joshua Tree. And when I was in Joshua Tree, I remember I met some people out in the desert, and I was having some challenges. So he gave me an Alka-Seltzer.
You're having some what?
I had something going on. I didn't know what it was at that time. So
how did it feel? Like
just
congestion, pressure?
Yeah, pressure, congestion, pretty
in your
severe.
face. Yeah.
And he gave me an Alka-Seltzer. And I believe in Alka-Seltzer there's aspirin in Alka-Seltzer. There's something in there that's an active ingredient. It's aspirin or salicylates. Either way, at that time I didn't know what salicylates were.
Okay.
It set me off. And so I was like, I couldn't breathe. I was gasping for air. And mind you, the whole time, my fiance at the time did not know how to drive the Westphalia van because it was a stick shift. So I did all the driving. So I'm driving through the desert when I'm having these challenges, going to the hospital. And I'm 3 hours from anywhere. And I was just like gasping for air. It was a horrible experience. I'll never forget it. It was just like, I mean, I could hardly get any air in for the amount of time. And I went to the ER. And
how'd you feel? We'll rewind a little bit because 3 hours is a long time.
I was like spitting up all this. I just couldn't breathe. I don't know how I survived that. It was a horrible experience.
I was to say, did you feel like?
I feel like I was on my last leg. I felt like I was suffocating. Like
I don't mean to laugh, but your face, dude.
No, it's real. I mean, I feel like I was suffocating.
Yeah,
that's because I have asthma, right? I've had breathing.
Well, so let me ask you, as far as like motivation and stuff like that, right. Did the thought ever cross your mind? All right, I'll just give up.
No, just keep going. You gotta keep going.
You're flooring it.
Oh, whatever Westphalia could do with a big ass wheel. Right, I'm doing this, right? Yeah, it was rough. It was a rough go. I wasn't sure how I was. I was scared a little. I was obviously scared because I didn't know what that looked like for me. And we're in the middle of nowhere.
You didn't think to call 911?
There's nothing out there. Our phones didn't work out there.
Oh, okay.
It's in the middle of the desert.
Right? Before Starlink.
Yeah, before any of that stuff. Right, 9 years ago. Anyways, God, it seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dude.
But I made it to the hospital. Did all these scans, chest scans. I'm lying there, and my fiance is next to me, and the nurse comes in and is like, "I believe you have cancer. There's a growth in your chest, and it is pretty big. You need to go back to Texas." So, after I got all the drugs they gave me, and it got better, I ended up heading. I'm like, all right, because I was about to go to Big Sur. I have a cousin that lives in California, a first cousin that lives in Santa Cruz, and I was going to go visit her and go to Big Sur, and we were hanging out. That didn't happen. I went straight back to Texas, and
how was that drive home?
Rough go, because at that time I was just told that I had cancer. I had a growth in my chest. Come to find out, after I get back, my mom was an ICU nurse, so she pulled some strings in the medical district in Houston, which is the best medical hospital you could possibly have in the country. There's St. Jude's there. There's Baylor School of Medicine. There's anybody that's anybody is there. There's the cancer centers there. MD Anderson Cancer Center's there. But yeah, I ended up going over there to the hospitals there, and she pulled some strings. Went to an ENT doctor that she knew from back in the day. He got me in like that. He did the skin on my head, and
but not your chest.
Not my chest. Well, the chest thing came before that. So when I was in Austin at the time, I got some scans done in Austin, And what it came out to be is I went to a cancer center, and the doctor was like super surprised that I was there because everybody's like 70, 80 years old, 60, right?
Yeah.
Older. He's surprised to see me. And he told me what I had was an inflammatory tumor, which is when your esophageal cells get so swollen and infected, because I was backed up, right? It came
Sure.
all the way down. That it looked, it's called an inflammatory tumor. And he gave me some medication. Within a month, that was like within 2 weeks to a month, it would all went down. Everything looked good. Inflammation wise went down, so it wasn't cancer.
Okay.
But then I ended up having to get some other scans done to see if I had leukemia because my white blood cells were lower. It did a number on my body. My
Yeah.
immune system was basically in shock.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's all that. So it took me it took me a while to figure it out, right? And then my mom pulled the strings, like I said before, and he did a scan on my head, and I had polyps growing through my entire cavity, covering my sinus cavity. It was
What are
covered.
polyps?
It's the fungus,
Okay.
right? It's the fungus that eats the bone and tissue in your face. It's what it was doing to my face. Almost getting, he told me, he was like, we have to get you scheduled like yesterday.
And you didn't feel anything?
Well, I
or
was in pain. I was having a hard time. I was having a hard time breathing this whole time, mind you.
Yeah.
It was not good. I think I took off from everything for 6 months just to kind of figure out
What's going on?
what's going on with my body, because some doctors didn't know what was going on, and it took me, it was trial and error, basically.
Well, and meanwhile, you're still cycling.
No, at this time I can't.
Okay. So
When I-
before
when
the
I
trip
got
to the
back-
desert, you were cycling.
Right, and when I got
And
back,
you felt off at
yeah,
that time.
but yeah, exactly. But when I got back, I took off for like 6 months.
How do the polyps get developed? Like, where do they come from?
Well, I actually had now I have something called Samter's syndrome, or AERD, and it's when you have asthma, you're allergic to aspirin, and you have polyps, right?
So you still have polyps.
Well, I'm on a biologic injection right now called Nucola that oxygenates my red blood cells, so I can hike those 14ers. I can work out every day. I can do yoga. I can do Manitou incline. I can do, and I can do snowboarding. I can do all those things because I'm on this shot, this injection. It's a $4,000 injection.
So they can't get rid of the polyps.
No, no. They'll keep coming back for the rest of my life as of right now until they figure out something different for medical, like technological medical advances, whatever it may be.
So I think a lot of people think of, like, especially with the series Last of Us that got posted on HBO,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the fungus growing inside of us and everything else like that.
Well, it's what it is a fungus, right? And actually, when it got tested, the doctor tested, because when I went to Houston, and he actually tilted my head back after he got the scans. He did this, and you could see the polyps protruding out of my nasal cavity. They were so severe.
What do they look like?
Look like yellow slugs. It was all yellow. It gets hard. It's like a hard body. Like, my body can't fight certain things. Like I can't have beer. I can't have whiskey. I can't have things like that because my body can't. For some reason, it's like the hops, the wheat in that.
Yeah.
I get build up, and it builds up and builds up and builds up,
And it feeds the polyps.
And well, there's no polyps there, but it creates them. My body can't fight that. So
Okay.
it's almost an autoimmune disease, but it's not. It's just one of those things that I have to maintain. I have to have a strict diet.
Yeah.
I can't drink alcohol. I could have a glass of white wine, but if I have too much white wine, I'll get built up, and I could still spit that crap out. Or I'll get built up, and I can't get it out.
Is it contagious?
No. But
as we're sitting,
No.
3 feet away, but
I lost my sense of smell, and after my first surgery, November of 2015.
so
yeah, that was
so
it.
yeah, they do surgery for it.
I've
or-
had 3 surgeries. Yeah,
and what's the purpose of the surgery?
Because it keeps coming back.
So the surgery is intended to get rid of it, but it doesn't.
It does if you have the right medicine. Like, for example, now that I'm on this biologic injection, it doesn't come back. But if I have too much salicylates, which is what plants naturally produce as a natural pesticide, which is in 90% of fruits and vegetables.
Sure.
That's why I can't have honey. It's poison to me. Honey's poison. 110% honey is poison to me. when we have an anaphylaxis reaction, give me a drop of honey the size of my pinky finger. Pure honey. I'll be done. Yeah, I'll be nice to you.
Well, I won't give you my
Right, no.
garlic fermented honey
No,
things.
no, I don't want it. But yeah, no. So it's just so when he cut it out in the office, he had the old school like doctor scope.
Yeah, sure.
He pulled me back in the office. He was like, "We got to get you breathing out of your nostrils because
Were you mouth breathing at the time?
yeah." And I felt like I was just the whole time for
Yeah.
months and months. I was mouth breathing. It was awful.
Yeah.
I'd go to bed sitting up, like straight up. I couldn't breathe laying down. He cut them out. They were like 3 inches long, an inch thick out of my cavity. He numbed them. He put a 3-inch
Were
needle.
they just like crystallized?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, they were just hard. It stuck to the inside of my lining of my tissue in my head and in my nose. And he cut it out, gave me some magic pill, prednisone, that makes you feel like you could jump over
yeah.
the moon.
Yes.
Which is horrible because it's horrible for your bones, right? Your bone density over time if you do it too long.
Yeah.
That's why people, as they get older, if they take it too much, they could break their bones because it's
osteoporosis is really bad in that. Yeah.
Right. So, so I took prednisone. I was on prednisone for a solid 2 years, dude. Like to try to really maintain it. This is before I got Nucola,
Right.
the biologic. It took me years just to get this shot. Right. It's crazy. So I have to maintain this strict diet.
And this is all because your white blood cells
No,
and your immune system aren't.
No,
aren't
this is all
basically-
because I just caught this fungus. But he lab tested the fungus. Guess what it was? Aspergillosis. And guess what aspergillosis is? It's black mold.
So you got it from being exposed to black mold at some point.
Where? Somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, but my immune system had to be low enough for it to affect me and attach to my body.
Correct.
So if I had a lower immune system and what you have right now, like you're in great shape, right? And if I just
For
had
the most part, yeah.
a crap immune system, it would attach to me and it wouldn't attach to you.
Huh.
It's weird, right? It just had to be a perfect storm in my body for it to attach to my body. And that's what it did. And the first time it almost gave me a brain abscess, which almost killed me. Right. So
this is interesting, and this is something I want to touch base on. You've mentioned 3 different near-death experiences, but this one seems to have stuck more.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Like the near-death experience, I think it just made me realize in that moment, I'm like, oh shit, this could be it. It's scary.
So the bull and the bronco.
Right. I don't look at that as near-death experiences. I just look at that as shit happens.
But they were.
I mean,
right. But they were, right?
Yeah. I mean,
so it's interesting that the way that you describe these 2 different stories,
right,
in the sense that
this
one
was slower, right? It was like
you didn't see it.
I didn't see it. It was just there, and it was slow, dragging. I could, the effects of my body was showing. I was 145 pounds at that time. That's how sick I was. 40 pounds lighter than I am right now.
It's wild.
I was rail thinned. I had no body. I was skin and bones. It was something was going on, and that's when they started testing for see if I had leukemia and stuff like that. And anyways, obviously it wasn't cancer or any of that, but I got past it, figured it out. But it took me years to figure out where I am. But here's the thing. Well, this is how I look at things, right? If I didn't get sick all those years ago, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I wouldn't have gone back to school again to get my counseling degree. I wouldn't have, decided to be like, I'm going to Colorado.
Is that what gave you the kick in the ass?
Yeah.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what happened with your previous fiance? Did this experience also influence that relationship?
It did. I think it was too
so?
I feel like it was a little too much. She had a lot going on as well, but in a different way, but it was too much for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I understood that, her being younger, and me being older and the experiences that I've had and already being married and divorced and have a couple careers under my belt.
Yeah.
And she was still going to college as well.
Trying to figure her life out.
And
here's, somebody that I'm going to potentially marry that almost had a near-death experience.
She was just like, I could tell. It was just, you sense it. And I remember the night she gave me the ring back, I was like, we're getting married in April. This is January 2nd. Are you sure you want to do this? Because this is a life decision. And that's what I told her. I was
Giving the ring back.
you know, and she was like, because I could tell something was up. She was like, I can't. I'm like, okay. That was it. It was very cordial.
Oh, so you implement? Okay, no,
I
okay.
implemented it. I implemented it because
You're
I
like,
was
hey, are you sure you want to go
right.
forward with
Yeah,
this?
because I
you
could tell
offered her
a way out.
Yeah.
Right, and I thought that was the right thing to do because I could
Yeah.
tell something was up, and it was the right decision.
So you get the nose disease,
The fungus, right?
yeah. The face fungus.
Anyways, I figured it out.
Yeah,
Right.
and then so that kicked you back into high gear of like, okay, I'm going to go to school and get my master's degree.
Yeah, actually, I ended up moving back to East Texas
Because you were in Houston at this time.
No,
were
so
you?
after I left my fiance, I ended up with another girlfriend for 2 years.
Oh man, from one serious to another.
Yeah, and this kind of happened. That was a great experience. She was an amazing person as well. It was just I was sick that whole time as well, trying to figure it out, trying to recover, and I was kind of maintaining here and there, but I'd have moments of like,
Oh, I can't breathe.
Right. But yeah, and that's when I started slacklining. I started slacklining with her. She taught me how to slackline, and I haven't slacklined since I've been here in Colorado. But it's like riding a bicycle; you don't forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had some great experiences with that as well. But ended up eventually, after being with her for a number of years, and still trying to figure out, what was going on in my body. I finally figured it out when I left. 2 years later, it was just like my mom was like, "Come back to East Texas. We will figure this out." And I was still going. So it took me years to figure out the control I have with it now. Years.
From to where you're functional, there's really no side effects and everything else like that.
Now there is if I have too much salicylates in my food.
Right.
So which is why I have to keep it to like low, moderate, or moderate.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But yeah, I got it figured out now. Now I have the best thing they have for it right now. But this shot is ridiculous. I mean, it's so expensive. Thank God I have insurance. It's a $4,000 shot.
$4,000?
Almost $4,000 because it's a biologic injection.
What does that mean?
It has mRNA in it, right? So,
okay.
Right. So, but it also, like I told you before, it oxygenates my red blood cells.
Right.
So I could breathe. At one time, I was on oxygen in East Texas, walking around with a 100-foot cord in my house for a while on oxygen. I had a machine plugged in, dude. I had one of those machines, but I would go to work and then come home, be on oxygen all day. I mean, I was able to maintain barely
at work and stuff.
Yeah, but I was able to do it. Yeah, it's a miracle that I got through. Yeah, it's been a lot. I got to stay on top of my health. So.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job, man.
I'm trying. I always feel like I could do better.
So you end up breaking it off with this woman, and then you go get your master's degree at that point?
Yeah, actually, I ended up working at a nonprofit in East Texas.
At what point did you're like, I'm going to go to Colorado? And why did you choose Colorado?
Well, I've always loved the outdoors, and I've always dreamed of being in the mountains. That was it. That's what did it.
Colorado.
Yeah.
Not Idaho, not Montana.
No. It was Colorado, My brother-in-law, him and I came up to Telluride a month before, a semester before I started my last semester in my graduate school program.
Okay.
And it was during COVID, right? Well, this wasn't during COVID. It was right after COVID. Stuff was going on, but people were venturing out, right?
Yeah.
And I fell in love. Telluride was a beautiful. God, Telluride is beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
I would always play the Jurassic Park theme song. Yeah, right.
As you're driving into it.
Yeah, dude, it was awesome.
That's actually pretty fitting too.
Yeah, it is because there's these massive mountains, but it's just like this massive limestone. It's just amazing. It's just I'm like, okay, I'm definitely moving here now. That's right. I said, and I was already talking about it before. I had a couple of friends of mine that wanted to move here. We were all going to move in together, but I ended up moving first. A year. I beat him by a year.
Yeah.
and we're not living together. Obviously,
I like my own place.
I like
Yeah.
my space.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of wanted to be. I've always wanted to kind of dreamed of mountains and being outdoors and hiking mountains.
So you got this itch,
Yeah.
and I guess what got you into the 14ers and stuff?
Um,
Is it that thrill seeking?
I don't call that thrill seeking. I just
It's
call
pretty. It's
it could be intense. Yeah, but
yeah,
it's just
living life to the fullest.
yeah. After having all those, because of near death experiences, mind I had those surgery 3 times. I had a couple near death. I had almost died of pneumonia the second time around.
Second surgery.
The second surgery, almost died of pneumonia. That was scary because I had like 9 people around me with machines. My heart's going from like 30 beats per minute to 160 within a drop of a hat.
Yeah.
So something was going on, and my body's still in shock. So I've had a number of close calls, and it just made me realize, what does Greg want to do? What do I want to do
Before you pass.
Yeah,
Before you expire.
I didn't look at it like that. I just looked at, what do I want to do before I die? Right? Guess right. So I'm like, this chapter needs to be for me, because I was always just kind of a people pleaser in some way.
Yeah.
When I was younger, but then after having these near death experiences, it made me realize, I'm like, and also losing a lot of friends over the years, but it's just like, I just got to take that leap. I got to go, and that's what I did, but I can remember lying at my farm in the middle of the woods, 200 acres, right? Just pine trees everywhere, Russian boars running around and white-tailed deer in my front yard. Like pitch black out there. It's dark. There's no lights out there. So it's backwoods. I remember lying in bed, and it was weighing on me, like what I should do. And I used to be an intervention specialist and work with individuals who were getting out on parole and probation. And I would attend mental health court with them. And I kind of fell in love with a certain demographic, and I got on Indeed, applied for 2 jobs with that demographic, and within a week they both called me back, and I got to negotiate my salary with one of them, and it worked out. I got to choose which one I wanted to go to,
And here we sit.
But if I didn't get sick back in 2015, and that horrible thing happened to me, that life-changing experience that nearly killed me a couple of times, I wouldn't have gotten my master's in education and counseling. I wouldn't be here talking to you. I wouldn't be like working a part-time job with a private practice and doing what I'm doing now with my full-time work.
Yeah.
So it's, my mom always used to say the Lord works in mysterious ways, and he certainly does, because if that didn't happen all those years ago, I wouldn't be here talking to you. You're right. So it's, you got to take I'm an optimist. I'm not a negative person. Bad things happen. Yes, it happens. And sometimes life just sucks sometimes. That's a real thing. It just sucks. But you really have to look at the brighter side of things, because that's only temporary, as is life, right? Life is temporary. You can literally do it all. I believe that, because I have done it so much in my life. I'm 45. Feel pretty good. All the shit I've been through, I feel pretty great. I'm in great shape now. I'm hiking. I'm outdoors. I'm doing all the things I've always wanted to do and dreamed of doing, and then some. Like the other day, I was on top of Mantua Incline. I put my hand out, and I had a little bird fly in my hand. I mean, what's that about? At the top, and I had my crampons on, and I was at the top, and it was just me out there, and had a little bird fly in my hand. Yeah. So I mean, it's the simple things. I think now as I get older, it's the simple things in life. Good conversation, good friendships. I've dumped a lot of friends over the years. I really found out who my friends were when I got sick,
and who you can call on,
and who I could call on. I don't see some of the ones. I love them. I have a buddy in Washington. I got a buddy who's raising a family in Austin area, and a couple of buddies there, but I haven't seen them in years.
Yeah.
But I know I could pick up the phone and call them. But yeah, I could count my friends on one hand, like true friends. And I think that's a lot.
I'm going to weasel my way onto that hand. So you have to go to 6.
Oh, you're there. Obviously, we get along great. We've always, the minute we like you and I first met, it was instant, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When you meet people and you're like, God, dude, I know this guy from somewhere.
It's familiar.
Yeah. It's I equate it to like the possible past lives.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like we have crossed paths
somewhere at some time.
somewhere
At some time.
in the millennia of infinity.
Of craziness.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I believe
We might
that.
have been like two little snails
Right.
on a tree one day, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, buddy, picked by a bird. And you're like, oh, shit.
But yeah.
And now we're here as
And now-
human forms, you know?
And here we are. Yeah. It's crazy, but I believe that for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Well, dude, I appreciate your time and coming out. I know it's a later night for you.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good. I'm glad you invited me.
Dude.
Sorry I missed it the first time. Things came
Dude,
up.
I don't ever apologize for stuff like that. You know, like I tell everybody, it's friends can become family, but family is truly first.
Right. Yeah.
The
100%.
Commitment and community that family has,
Yeah.
I feel like is too often overlooked. And when
Yeah.
you moved up in my, again, like inspiring person that I know is you moved up even higher when you said, hey, I have to take care of this.
Mhm.
It showed me that your priorities are in the right place.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So again,
Yeah,
I
appreciate
appreciate you. Appreciate you being on, dude.
Yeah, man.
And,
Thanks for inviting me on, man. It's been great. Yeah.
I'd love to have you back on and talk about some of the 14ers and well, you know, some of the craziness.
Let me get more under my belt.
Yeah, I'll get you back on when you're halfway through. So there's 58. So what's that?
I need
20.
I need to be.
I'm not a mathematician.
I'm at 13 right now. I need to do another 20 more.
13.
I put me at 33.
What are you hitting this summer? How many are you going for?
As many as I can, if I can.
How many? Like, what's the goal? What's the smart goal?
I would like to do 20.
20 this summer.
Yeah, it's every weekend, right? That's
I want to do
busting it.
I want to do 2 with you for sure.
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay.
Yeah,
But they got to be day trips, man. Like out there,
Well,
morning.
I
wake
start
up,
early
hike.
with a headlamp at 1:30,
Yep.
2:30 in the morning. We'd be down by 10, right?
Driving back home.
Yeah, we'd be down by 10 driving home in our because when you're done after you're doing one,
I know. I did Elbert.
Yeah.
Elbert's not fun. I will never do that one again.
It's the biggest 14er in Colorado.
I won't do that one again because you hike for so long, especially if you come from the southwest corner or southwest corner.
Right.
You hike at 13,000 feet
Mm-hmm.
for like over a half a mile.
Right.
And it doesn't seem that long, but when you're at 13,000 feet, you're pretty gassed, dude.
When I started, it was let's just say by the time I got done that day, I had 16.1 miles.
It's nuts.
Up and down. It was a constant incline, a constant decline. There's some beautiful parts to it.
Yep.
Out of all the 14ers I've done so far, that's one I do not like.
Yeah.
So far, compared to those.
Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
But as the experience itself, it's
it was a little different for me.
Yeah.
It was a little different for me compared to the other ones that I've done.
So I'll do 2 for sure this summer.
Yeah.
We'll line that up on a weekend or something like that. So
yeah, or we can always do the DeCalibron. I did that one already.
no, I want to do 2 new ones with
That's
you.
4 14ers in a day, right? It's 4.
No, I want to do 2 new ones with you.
Okay, we'll pick those out. That'll be great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be
Cool,
good.
man.
That'll be a good plan.
All right, guys. Later.
Later, bro.